Hi, for today's session, we will be looking at factors and answering questions involving factors. Now, before we look at some problems, please make sure you have read through the factor facts or read through them now. It's important to understand what we're working with. So, most importantly, what are factors? Factors of a number divide evenly into that number. This means there are no remainders. Okay, that's how we know we have a factor. Look at this example. A factor of 6 is 2. This is because 6 divided by 2 gives us 3. Our product, our answer when we multiply, is a whole number. No decimals, and no fractions. It's just a whole number. So fantastic. Now, some facts and tips, and these are important to know when we do our questions. 1 is a factor of every number, and this is your smallest factor. Okay, so whenever you're writing factors of a number, you just start with 1. I'll just go to the third point. The largest factor of a number is itself. Okay, the largest factor of 6, for example, is 6 because 6 divided by 6 is 1. In other words, the partner or pair of 1 is the number itself. So 1 times 6, in this case, will give me 6. So straight away, before you start calculating any factors, you know that 1 is a factor at the beginning and the last number is the number itself. Okay? Now, 2 is a factor of every even number. So that's using your divisibility skills in a previous slide. Now, if 2 is a factor of every even number, what will its partner have to be? So have a think about that. I'll give you a hint. How do I half a number? What do I divide it by? And the last point, a factor of a number always has a partner. This is referred to as a factor pair, okay? When we multiply these pairs, they give us the number we're working with. So in this example, a factor pair is 2 and 3 because 2 times 3 gives me my 6. And last of all, there are no factors past halfway of a number. For example, 3 is half of 6. Okay, we can see 3 is a factor of 6 and it's halfway. So 4 and 5 cannot be factors of 6 because they're getting too large. If I try to double 4, for example, 4 plus 4 is 8 and I've passed 6. It's too big. And the partner of the halfway number is always 2. So there you go. Because when we halve a number, we divide it by 2. So that's an important tip to remember. Now, there are some useful tools you can use to help you work out factors, especially if you're not confident with timetables. There are heaps of tools and strategies you can use. A multiplication table chart is a great one. You can find all the factors of a number or some. So, for example, if I've got 24, 24 would be the largest number we can use to find all the factors. Anything above 24, you'll be able to find some factors. And we'll use this example in a minute. You can find a factor using division, okay? Using your algorithm, so just writing up a division calculation. Or if you have a calculator, use your calculator as a tool. When you enter it into your calculator, you shouldn't see any decimals, okay? So look at this example. 63 divided by 3, I got 21, which tells me 3 is a factor of 63. I've got a whole number. But here, if I go 63 divided by 8, look what I've got, 7.875, which is telling me, no, 8 is not a factor of 63. Okay, so we can use our calculators as well. Also, you might like to write your factors using a factor T. You can see it shows us factor pairs. 1 times 16 is 16. 2 times 8 is 16. 4 times 4 is 16. It helps to break down the number 16 and show all the factor pairs. And it might be useful for you to use. Okay, here is our first question. Write down the factors of 15. Please have a go first. It's not a large number, so you shouldn't have too much trouble. Now, remember, the first factor of any number is 1. The largest one is the number itself, 15. Okay? I like to do it this way. I've written 1 at the beginning and 15 at the end. Now, this means every other factor has to be in between 1 and 15. Now, if I put this on a factor T, I'll put my 15 on top, and I'll start with my smallest number, 1 here, times 15 gives me 15. You can write times here if you think that's useful as well. 1 times 15 is 15. There's my first factor pair. Now, at this point, you can go to your times table chart. And if I did that, I can see, so to use your times table chart, let's go to the products column, the answers. Now, if I look at my 2 timetables, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. There is no 15. And I knew that because 15 is not an even number. I can't divide it by 2. It's not divisible by 2. If I go to my 3 column, I can see I've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Oh, there we go. There's 15, which means 3 and 5, because 3 times 5, are 3 and 5 are factors of 15. And they're a factor pair. So 3 times 5 is 15. I can see it. If I go to my 4 column, I can see there's no 15 in the products section column, so no. In the 5 column, I can see 15 there as well. And I've got the same numbers, just in a different order, 5 times 3. Okay, so I still have the same factors, 5 and 3, but nothing different. Here in my 6 column, there's no 15. 7 columns, there's no 15. Now, half of 15 is 7.5. So I can pretty much stop now because I know 8 has passed halfway. So I won't see 15 in any other column. And so I have found all of my factors. So my next smallest factor is 3 and my next one is 5. We write factors in ascending order from smallest to largest. In my factor T, I would have 3 next times my 5 to give me 15. Okay? Now with your factor T, if that's the way you found your factors, you'd start from the beginning and sort of do a U-turn and go to the end. Okay? So if I was looking at this, I'd say, okay, my factors are 1, 3, 5, and 15. Okay? And I am done. We only write the factor once. So I've got 1, 3, 5, and 15. We don't write 3 more than once or 5 more than once. So they are the 4 different factors of 15. Okay, our next question asks us to write down the factors of 40. Okay, so once again, we start with 1, and then we start with 40. Okay, end with 40, sorry. So every factor must be in between 40. Now, I know the halfway number is the next highest one. And I know 40 is an even number, and if I divide it by 2, half of 40 is 20. So that will be my second largest factor, okay? And I'll put my 2 there. This is just me looking at 40 and thinking, okay, it's even, I can divide it by 2. Okay, so I'll put it in a factor T as well. So I have 1 times 40, and then to give me 40, 2 times 20 gives me 40. So far I have 2 factor pairs. Now, maybe there might be some more factors in between here. Let's have a look and see. I'll use my timetable chart again, just to have a look. 40 is not in my 3 column. 4 and 4, 8, 12. There we go. There's 40. 4 times 10 is 40. That's using my timetables. Okay. Now with 40, you won't see all the factors in this timetable chart because 40 is it's a larger number. It's a bit too large. For example, I don't see the factors that I found, 2 times 20. We don't see 2 times 20 in our timetable chart, okay? Because we only go up to 12. 2 times 12 is the largest number. So our 12 timetables. So just keep that in mind. With larger numbers, you don't find all the factors in here, but it's still a useful tool to have. All right, so 4 times 10 can be my next factor because I know 3 doesn't work. So 4, and I'll just put 10 here and leave some space in case there's some more. So 4 times 10 gives me my 40. Okay. Now, I think this might be it, but let me double check because I should look at some more numbers. So I'm at 4 now. The number after 4 is 5. Can 5 divide into 40? Can I go 40 divided by 5 to get an even number? Well, yes, I can. 40 divided by 5 gives me 8, which means 5 and 8 are a factor pair. In other words, 5 times 8 gives me 40. Okay? That was also in my times table chart. If you go back and have a look. So my next factor pair here is 5 times 8. And I can squeeze in 5 and 8 here. Okay? You can keep trying. So what about 6? Can I go 40 divided by 6? No, that won't work. If I use a calculator, I'll end up with a decimal. 40 divided by 7, that won't work. 40 divided by 8, we already have it here. And now that I've reached 8, I can pretty much stop because the other ones won't work. You can keep trying, 40 divided by 9. But because I've reached, in my factor T, I've got 5 and then 8, I can stop there because I've reached my U-turn. Okay? But you can keep checking all the way up to 20. All right, so these are the factors of 40 in ascending order. Okay, question 3 asks us to state the common factors of 15 and 40. Now, it's important to understand what we mean by common factors. Common factors are just factors they both have in common. Now, in our previous examples, we found the factors of 15 and the factors of 40. So let's just compare them. Okay, so what are the common factors? The factors are the same in 15 and 40. So straight away, they both have 1. So 1 is a common factor. 3, there's no 3 here, so no. 5 and 5, yep, they are common factors. 5 is found in both of them. No 4 here. 15, no 15 here, no 8 there. So that is it. They have 2 common factors. So let's write this down as our answer. So the common factors of 15 and 40 are 1 and 5. You can write the word and, but I just put a comma there. Okay, our last question for this session asks us to state the highest common factor of 15 and 40. Now, if you've looked at the PowerPoint, the highest common factor of 2 numbers or 2 or more numbers is the largest factor they have in common. Okay? Now, how to find the highest common factor? First, write down the factors of each number. We have done that already for 15 and 40. Then compare the common factors, which we've done already, and see which one is the highest. So common factors are factors both numbers have in common. And we've done all these steps already in our previous questions. So let's go back to our answers. Okay, our common factors in the previous question we worked out were 1 and 5. Okay, so 15 and 40 both have factors that are 1 and 5. Now, out of these 2 common factors, which one is the highest common factor? Okay, so we can write highest common factor using this abbreviation or acronym H, C, and F. Okay, so highest common factor, which one's the highest common factor? Well, out of 1 and 5, I can see 5 is my highest one or largest one. So the highest common factor is equal to 5. Now, before we finish, if you're wondering why is the highest common factor useful, it's very useful when we are asked to simplify fractions. Okay, when we simplify fractions, we try and work out what the highest common factor is of both numbers. If we look at 4 and 8, the fraction 4 and 8, let's have a look and see if I divide 4 and 8 by the highest common factor, it'll give me my half straight away. So let's just try this example. Now, when we simplify fractions, whatever we do to the bottom, we must do to the top and vice versa. So if I said, oh, look, they're both even, I can divide them both by 2. 2 is a factor of 4 and of 8 because they're both even. Well, 4 divided by 2, it gives me 2, and 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. But guess what? I can keep dividing by 2 because 2 and 4 are both divisible by 2. If I kept going, I get my half. Okay? A quicker way was to use the highest common factor. So another factor of 4 and 8 is 4. So if I divided them by 4, which is their highest common factor, I would get, well, 4 divided by 4 is 1 over 8 divided by 4 is 2. And I got my half straight away. Okay? So 4 is half of 8, 1 is half of 2. So both these fractions represent half, even though they look a bit different. But that's just extra information as to why we want to find the highest common factor. Thank you.